Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Go figure, get the figures, let's make about 8.
Cash rule, cash rule, cash.
When worst come to worst, my peoples come first. I was hardly making George before I'd written a verse. Kept my mind straight, no hate. Work with my ambition. Invested in my ideas when nobody would listen. They told me I couldn't do it, so they think I could buy it. But they ain't even trying, ain't no need to deny it. Black continuity of hustle and grind. People been fighting centuries for lives like mine. Trying to look to a higher power, but what I didn't see is the seed of success lies deeper than me. Black Wall Street, gotta get the ground beneath my own feet. Gotta be the sole controller, march to my own beat. Stacking the capital to the best of my ability. More cash in the safe because I put it through liquidity. Started from the minor league, it's basic here, but after practice, cracking the safe after we utilize these tactics. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Go figure, get the figures, let's make about 8.
Cash rule, cash rule, cash.
When worst come to worst, my peoples come first. I was hardly making George before I'd written a verse. Kept my mind straight, no hate. Work with my ambition. Invested in my ideas when nobody would listen. They told me I couldn't do it, so they think I could buy it. But they ain't even trying, ain't no need to deny it. Black continuity of hustle and grind. People been fighting centuries for lives like mine. Trying to look to a higher power, but what I didn't see is the seed of success lies deep.
I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. Maybe you can hear me now. I had the microphone muted, so forgive me for my technical stupidity. But anyway, I wanted to come in for a second and finish up more of the conversation that we had earlier today. We were talking a little bit about what was going on with the follow-up with the whole Gayle King, Oprah Winfrey stuff. Basically, Gayle has been getting dragged pretty bad for some questions she asked about Kobe Bryant, and a lot of people had a lot to say. I heard a lot of people speaking on this issue, from Michael Eric Dyson to Snoop Dogg to, just everybody, 50 Cent. I guess everybody has an Instagram account, so everybody has an opinion now. And so anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done it yet. So let me just kind of break down why I'm talking to you now and what just happened and what I saw that made me think. First thing I saw that got my attention was Michael Eric Dyson made some remarks about the whole situation. He did a video on his Instagram, and I didn't agree with everything in the video, but I give a certain amount of respect. I pay a certain allegiance to Michael Eric Dyson because Michael Eric Dyson was actually the first Black public intellectual I ever saw in my life, and so I've always had a lot of respect for the guy. Even when we disagree, I had a real issue with the way things went down with that Cornel West Obama situation. I felt like he was being used back then, and I didn't like it at all. And we haven't really talked much since then. But just know that it's not a matter of me completely disliking everything he has to say. Now, one thing that he did bring up that I have to say that we should think about is we got to be cautious about how we sort of address Black women in this whole situation, how we address Gayle as a Black woman. I think that, with Snoop's language, I think was a little bit harsh. It was entertaining, but, I don't really want to, I want to see the other side of Snoop Dogg, not the part that, likes to say we don't love them hoes, because I just don't think that that's what our community needs right now. I think we can be clear without being disrespectful, right? But at the same time, though, I'm glad he spoke up. I think everybody needs to speak up, and I think it's a good thing. Now, here's another thing that did go down. Monique, you saw Monique come on this channel not too long ago, And when Monique was here, she actually addressed Oprah and addressed, the whole Oprah, Gayle, Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels, weird little thing they all got going on in Hollywood. They're all, this is a gay mafia thing. I mean, let's just be real. I mean, I think that there's a reason why they all sort of have a similar disposition. I don't think masculinity or heterosexual masculinity is welcome in Hollywood. I think that there's something interesting going on there that only allows certain Black people to kind of even get opportunities in that space. And so right now, the holy grail of Black entertainment, Black mainstream white entertainment, is pretty much those people, right? Lee Daniels, Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, etc. And then you throw Gayle in the mix and all this other stuff. So Monique has had an issue with them for a while, and I don't know the details of that issue. I know she spoke on it a lot. I tend to support Monique, just because I root for the underdog. But I just don't know what went down there in that whole situation. But what I can say is that she has been very insightful in terms of coming to the people and kind of letting people know what was going on with all of that, right? So of course, with this thing going on with Gayle, Monique has something to say, and I'm gonna read some of her open letter to you so you guys can kind of feel free to give me your thoughts on it. So here's what she says. She says, I felt compelled to write you this open letter. Dear Oprah, I felt compelled to write you this open letter after observing the disparity in the way that you seem to treat people who were accused of the same allegations. You did an interview on the CBS morning show and were asked about Harvey Weinstein by Norah O'Donnell. And you said, as it pertained to him, you should, quote, always try to look at the rainbow in the clouds, whatever is the silver lining. You also said, quote, if we make this all about Harvey Weinstein, then we've lost the moment. When you either are or were going to be part of the documentary on Michael Jackson and Russell Simmons, how is that not about making it all about them? Interestingly, brother MJ was acquitted and deceased. So how is he not off limits? Russell and Harvey are accused of the same thing. So in fairness, how do you not support the accusers of both? So how do you not support the accusers of both, as you said you did with RS, Russell Simmons, or you look for the silver lining for both, like you said you did for Harvey Weinstein? So what she's saying is basically, you talked about supporting accusers, you talk about looking for the silver lining. So if you're going to support the accusers of Russell Simmons, why not support the accusers of Harvey Weinstein? If you're looking for the silver lining with Harvey Weinstein, why don't you look for the silver lining with Russell Simmons and Michael Jackson, right? I don't know what is going on. I think it's just very weird that they're going out of their way to pick out Black men, and they're doing this on behalf of white networks that are too scared to talk about Black people directly. Seriously, I'm in Denver. I'm gonna meet Vicky Dillard tomorrow, and I don't have my Vicky Dillard gavel. But if I had my Vicky Dillard gavel, I would actually call the resolution of the League of Intelligent Black People. The resolution would be this. The resolution is that if CBS wants to go and talk about Black people and persecute Black people, stop hiring Black people to do your dirty work. That's my resolution. That is my proposal to the Council of Intelligent Black People. CBS, if you have something to say about Black people, or an individual that is admired by Black people, stop sending Negro surrogates to do the dirty work. Do the shit your damn self. How about that? All those who agree with me say aye. Let me know yes or no. Yes or no. Do you agree with this resolution? I think CBS, for whom I still believe we should boycott, because even Gayle is now saying CBS threw her under the bus on this whole situation. We don't know. I look at it as CBS threw the whole Black community under the bus. They didn't just throw Gayle under the bus. They didn't just throw Kobe under the bus. They didn't just throw Lisa Leslie under the bus. They threw everybody under the bus because, they somehow think that they can get away with this nonsense. And we're smarter than that. Like, we can see right through the charade. There was a reason why every person involved in that conversation was Black. That was a Negro fight that they wanted on TV for ratings, and they would not get one of their white anchors or white journalists to ask that damn question. Bring her white ass out there and let her ask the question. Let a white person ask another white person. Fine, do that if you want to. But seriously, stop using Black people to do your dirty work. Because one thing you got to know about white supremacy is, I keep telling you guys, you keep thinking that white supremacists always have to be white, or that white supremacists is always going to come in whiteface. That's not the most effective form of white supremacy. The most effective form of white supremacy is when it shows up in blackface. The most effective form of white supremacy is when the white supremacist is Black. The most effective way to pursue a white supremacist agenda is to have the agenda delivered by a person who has a Black face. That's why when they're pushing other agendas, and y'all know what I'm talking about, y'all know the Hollywood agenda. Y'all know y'all know what I'm talking about when I say the agenda in Hollywood. Well, when they push that agenda, whose face are they using? Well, why do you think Billy Porter is the first man in the history of Sesame Street to ever show up on that show wearing a goddamn prom dress? Anyway, they can't find no white men out there to wear prom dress on Sesame Street. Ain't no white guys out there that took the job. Seriously, why do you think they will push up a movie? They will take a movie and they will push an agenda in that movie and then go get that movie Oscars and Academy Awards. Well, that's the same damn thing. They're all worthless. They shower all this praise on the film and say, oh, this is great, this is great. That's because they're trying to control you. They're using the power of that media to control you. That's why I have the students of the Black Business School read a book called How the Jews Invented Hollywood, because it speaks to not anti-Semitism. I'm not a believer in that. I ain't got time to be hating other people. What it speaks to is how Hollywood has always had a history of pursuing political agendas through media and through imagery. So what they're doing is, in their mind, again, white supremacy. Supremacy means the ability to dominate another person or dominate a group of people, right? So white supremacy is the domination of non-white people by white people, right? So what they're trying to do is they're pursuing a white supremacist agenda. They're seeking to dominate you by presenting images of you. And a lot of us, because we're not woke, most of us aren't woke enough to understand what's going on. We follow along like zombies. We follow the agenda like zombies. So that's why they got Black people to have that conversation. They could have easily got white people who would have had the same damn conversation. And also, one good point Dyson brought up that I agreed with, and I think it's important to discuss this. He said, why did we go off when Gayle said it, but we didn't go off when the white Washington Post reporter said it? Well, that's because Gayle is Black. Gayle gets the benefits of being Black, but she also has the expectations that come with being Black. That with great power comes great responsibility. If your relative does something, then they're going to get held accountable differently from when your enemy does something. When your enemy does something, you expect them to do what they did. But when your ally does the same damn thing, you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? If you're in a football game, when the Kansas City Chiefs were trying to win and score touchdowns, they didn't act surprised when the San Francisco 49ers scored a touchdown, because that's the opponent. They're on the other side. That's the adversary. But if one of the Kansas City Chiefs had run the ball back into the wrong end zone, or if one of the Kansas City Chiefs had intercepted a pass from Patrick Mahomes and ran it back in the other end zone, then they would say, what the fuck are you doing? You're supposed to be on our team. Why are you on our team scoring points for the other team? That don't make no damn sense, right? So Gayle is supposed to be on our team, but she's acting like she's on their team, right? And the thing about it is that if somebody, think about this, imagine how easy it would have been imagine if there was a Kansas City Chief who was literally secretly working for the San Francisco 49ers in that Super Bowl. Imagine if there was a wide receiver that lined up for the Chiefs and said, I'm gonna pretend to catch the ball and score for the Chiefs, but I'm gonna take that motherfucker, I'm gonna catch it, I'm gonna run back in the other direction, right? Imagine how easy it would have been for them to get away with the crime, because they would have been like, I'm open. Patrick Mahomes would have backed up in the pocket, threw the ball to him thinking, that's my teammate, I'm gonna give you the ball, man, go, let's get some points. And the guy would have caught it and ran back for a pick, and the whole time Mahomes would have been like, what are you doing, right? So my point here is this. People like Gayle King, they get a certain type of Black privilege when they are in the space of Black people. Black people assume that you are on the same team. We assume you're our teammate, so we'll throw you the ball. We'll give you props. We'll give you support because you're Black, like some of these damn raggedy ass Black politicians. But what they do is they give you a San Francisco 49er in a Kansas City Chiefs uniform, right? They get these double agents out here. They say, oh, well, white supremacy doesn't work very well when we put white people on the job, but it works extremely well when we put Black people on the job. And y'all been falling for that shit since slavery. They've been doing that since slavery, and we fall for it every damn time. So that's the reason why, again, with all due respect to Michael Eric Dyson, I like this guy. I really do. I mean, Michael, if you're watching, I still love you, man. You call me anytime. You're welcome on here anytime. I don't care what nobody says about Dyson. You got to give props to people who open doors for you. Dyson was the first public intellectual I ever saw in my life. I'm just a different kind of public intellectual, but I'm gonna give him his respect. But here's the other thing. With Dyson, I think the challenge is that these are a lot of his friends. You know, celebrities don't, I don't make friends with celebrities. They don't usually make friends with me. I'm not trying to be mainstream. I don't want to be at, you know, I don't want to be at the Oscars. I don't want to be at the Grammys. I don't want to be friends in Hollywood. I don't want to be in a Tyler Perry movie. I don't want to be invited to the White House. None of these things, right? So when people are your friends, it's kind of difficult to give a balanced analysis of things, right? So what I'm speculating is that with Oprah and Gayle being friends of Dyson's, I think it's tougher for him to give a perspective that doesn't sort of come with a little bit of bias in favor of his friend and empathy for what his friend might be feeling. The bottom line at the end of the day is that with Gayle, even with Gayle being your friend, I think you can just say, you know, hey, my friend, that was some bullshit. Like, you can't do that, my friend, because Black people are going to string your ass up. Like figuratively speaking, I don't want anybody to really string Gayle up. I don't advocate for that. But Black people are, it's not like 1985 where you could say some bullshit and Black folks couldn't talk back to you. Now you got Black celebrities who are woke and conscious Black people who have Instagram followings of 2-3 million people who will go light your ass up. And so ultimately, I think respect to the Black nation must be paid, right? So everybody who agrees that Black people should come first, that Black people, that the Black nation has risen, and that we do have a power that we never had before, type B1 in the chat, B1. And B1 to me is important for us to understand, because what it basically says is that in the midst of all this chaos, in the midst of all these agendas, in the midst of everybody pursuing, you know, thinking they can manage Black people in a certain way, we're kind of unfuckwittable at this point. We're unfuckwittable because we're not here to be managed anymore. We can't be managed anymore. You got to show respect. You got to have transparency. You must show some decency. And right now, people weren't trying to hear nothing about Kobe Bryant's whole legacy being tarnished because a mentally ill hoe, I'm talking about his accuser, a mentally ill hoe who got a money grab, basically decided that she wanted to go tell a story that didn't have much credibility, right? So I think that's important to understand. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, and thank you, Xavier Banks. He says, what you know about Legion M, the first fan equity crowd-funded entertainment company. I do not know what Legion M is, but I just shouted out Legion M in front of thousands of people, which is the benefit that you get because you donated to the platform. I appreciate it. Anybody else who wants to support the growth of this Black media platform, go to intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. And my website is boycewatkins.com. That's boycewatkins.com. So feel free to go check that out. So let me read more of this. I'm going to read and finish Monique's letter. I think that it was well written. I think it's interesting. She says the only difference between the two is skin color. And wait, is there skin color? And doesn't Harvey Weinstein have way more accusers? My personal experience with you is you've watched me as a Black woman be accused of being difficult for not promoting Precious internationally for Lionsgate. At Lionsgate, Tyler Perry and your request, despite the fact my deal was with Lee Daniels Entertainment. And how are you for Black women when you still haven't said a word? When I was 16 and I met you at your local show in Baltimore, I told you I wanted to be just like you when I grow up. You responded, you have to work really, really hard. My 16-year-old self didn't know that you and your silence in the face of wrongdoing would make my life harder. Lastly, please consider standing by the people who are right and not just the right people. Love you to life, Monique. Okay, well, that's true. I think Oprah is hard to understand these days. I think Gayle is also hard to understand. I think that, I don't know. I don't think this is as simple as cancel culture, though. Like I heard Dyson mention cancel culture as being part of the reason that Oprah and Gayle are getting it so bad. This is deeper than cancel culture. This is really something where their behavior is almost inexplicable. And the problem that Oprah has, in my opinion, is that Oprah has always felt that she didn't have to explain shit to anybody, especially not Black people. If you look at Oprah's staff, I think I saw a picture of Oprah's staff one time. And it was like her little staff at the Oprah Winfrey show. Let me see here. Let me see if I can Google it. And when I saw the staff and she was in a meeting, they were preparing for a show or whatever, it was nothing but like white girls. It was nothing but like blonde hair, blue eyed white girls. And it made me think about when Oprah admitted that when she was young, she really wanted to be white. She actually said, I wanted to be white. Does anybody remember that when Oprah said that she wanted to be white. And so I'm not sitting here trying to say Oprah has never done anything good for Black people. I just will say that maybe it's time to have a better person in place with that kind of power. I mean, can you imagine if we had a Black billionaire who really, really fought for Black people, like who really, really went to the wall for the Black community, who really wasn't scared, who gave zero shits. I mean, now, mind you though, you're talking about the powers that be. They're not gonna, they wouldn't like that. You know, that person might end up dead, but it would just be nice to kind of have that unapologetically Black and extremely, extremely wealthy. Now I found the picture here. Let me find this picture. Let me share this picture with you guys of Oprah kind of working behind the scenes with her staff. So look at that picture. I mean, Black and extremely, extremely wealthy. Now I found the picture. Let me find this picture. Blonde white woman here of Oprah, kind of white woman behind the scenes with her staff. Blonde white woman. So look at that picture. Blonde white woman here. And extremely, extremely white. Now I found the picture. I don't know who that is. Blonde white woman here. You know, and so it's interesting. So look at that picture. You have celebrities. It's okay to work with people who are not Black. I mean, everybody does that at some point. A lot of y'all might work for white people, right? But it's another thing when you feel that somehow a condition of your success is that you must be surrounded by people who are not Black. Like somehow Black people are too much for you to deal with. Like you think Black people are stupid, or you think Black people aren't qualified, or you think Black people are too trifling, or you think Black people are too Black, or Black people don't know how to play the game. I don't know what it is. I mean, I just think that there's so I think that what you're really seeing is ultimately it's going to become a changing of the guard. I think Gayle and Oprah are probably freaking out over this. They in terms of understanding what's happening in the world. They're both, I think, in their 60s. Let me see. How old is Gayle King? I'm going to guess Gayle is over 60 years old. Let me see. How old is Gayle King? Gayle King is 65 years old. So she has just hit retirement age. Oprah 66. Stedman is 68. So you're looking at a group of people who formed their worldview in the 1980s and 90s, back when, being down with white people was your ticket to success, where you look past a Harvey Weinstein because you didn't dare question a Hollywood power broker. I still remember getting a call from Vlad, who runs Vlad TV. And this was maybe 5 years ago. Vlad was warning me about being friends with Damon Dash. And I didn't know that they had a history, but Vlad was saying that Damon Dash, he said, can you believe, he said, well, you got to be careful with Dame. I said, well, what do you mean? I said, Dame seems pretty nice. We were pretty cool. And he said, well, Dame cussed out Harvey Weinstein in front of everybody at a fancy hotel or fancy restaurant in LA. Right. And I was like, wow, that's pretty shit. But when I hear information, I just take it in. I don't react until I try to know all the facts. I like to know all the perspectives. That's just how I am, because I'm a researcher. And as a researcher and investigator, you don't just act on one piece of information. So I just didn't say anything. I just kept it to myself. But interestingly enough, Damon Dash later on came and told me that same story about Weinstein. We were on the phone and he told me the exact same story about Weinstein and when he cussed him out, but it was a different perspective. And Dame's perspective this was before everybody knew Weinstein was a pervert. Or before it became public. This was before the whole scandal. But, so even before the scandal, Damon said, he's a sick motherfucker. He's a sick bastard. This guy was doing these crazy things with women in the kitchen and this, that, and the other. I don't even want to repeat what he said that they were doing. And it made sense. And I was like, okay, well, this is interesting. So it sounds like he's another Hollywood pervert, and Dame just wasn't going along with it. So it made him look crazy. Now, Dame might be crazy for other reasons. You might have issues with other things he might do, because he's an interesting guy. He's a little eccentric, but he's a smart guy, but he's interesting, right? But in that particular context, it was him just sort of saying, I'm not going along with this. So you could see the same way Damon Dash didn't go along with it. You could see where Oprah would go along with it, right? You could see where Oprah, where you have the stories about Oprah and Gayle, or Oprah sending these women and saying, look, he's nasty. He might want to do some nasty stuff to your body, but just go ahead and play that game if you want to be successful. So maybe when Oprah told Monique to be successful, to be like me, you got to work really, really hard. Maybe that means more than what you think. That's why I tell you, be very careful about getting these Hollywood dreams and fantasies, because sometimes you arrive, it's like being having a fantasy about going to the NFL. A lot of times when you arrive to the place where you think your dreams are going to come true, you find out that there's a hidden cost associated with that dream that you were not aware of. Guys who dream of going to the NFL, they find out about the hidden cost. The hidden cost is they're going to jack you up with steroids, probably starting when you are in college. The hidden cost is so much brain damage that you can't remember your kids' names when you're 35 years old, right? The hidden cost of sacrificing your life to a game that could paralyze you any second, any day of the week, right? So same thing is true in Hollywood. In Hollywood, there's a hidden cost that you gotta sleep your way to the top. A lot of your most successful actors and actresses out here have done some ridiculously nasty stuff to get to the top. Like, you think it's just like, oh, they worked hard and oh, they were talented. No, there's a lot of talented, hardworking people out here, right? Just look at like Lizzo. Look at how ridiculous Lizzo acts in exchange for her fame. I mean, twerking on white men, twerking while she's playing the flute, just being raunchy and all those. I mean, there's a hidden cost. And so what I encourage you to do as Black people is understand that there is a price to maintain your integrity, and you have to decide in advance how much of a price you're willing to pay. Because Oprah seems like a person who is pragmatic. Oprah probably paid a price to get to the top that you may not know about. Y'all know about the drugs because Oprah confessed about the drugs. What went on that she never talked about? What exchanges were made along the way? What Harvey Weinstein-like exchanges have been made for her to get to the point where they even allow her to be one of the most powerful people in all of Hollywood? She wasn't just a queen, she was a queen maker. She was a king maker. That's a whole nother level of power. What price do you have to pay to get there? So anyway, I gotta run, guys. Hey, babe, can you get the door? Thank you. So anyway, let me let you go, guys. Do me a favor. I think my guy does this. So let me hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, and they're over there making all that noise. Hey, 1 second. I'll be done 1 second. So I gotta go, guys. So do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, and I will be back a little bit later. And also, my website is boycewatkins.com if you want to know what else is going on in my life and your life and everything else. So take care, guys. Have a good day, and I will see you soon. Be good. Peace.